Good morning, good afternoon. We're going to go over solving the worksheet that we did yesterday on solving equations and inequalities algebraically and checking your answers. So it says show your steps in your solutions and your checks. So the first step we have when we solve an equation is to keep everything organized by putting a line through the equal side or the inequality. Then for this problem, we're going to undo this 13 first. So to undo the 13, we're going to be subtracting 13 from both sides. So that would look like on both sides of the equation a minus 13 on one side and a minus 13 on the other side. This is going to cancel out, add to 0, and we just copy down our 3x. 25 take away 13, 5 take away 3 is 2, and this would be 1. Then we're ready for our next step, which would be to divide both sides by 3. The reason why we're dividing by 3 is this right here is 3 multiplied by x, and the opposite of multiplication is division. So the way we show our division is our fraction symbol, and remember this divide 3, and if we forget how to put that in the calculator, we could put 2 dots to remember that's like a division. 3 over 3 divides to 1, and we are left with 1x, and 12 divided by 3 is 4, and that's our answer. Okay, we can check our answer here by checking that when we do 13 plus 13 plus 3 times 4, we should get 25. And we do, so we know that we've done this correctly. That's our check. All right, let's move on to the next problem. So for our next problem, we have 74 equals 8.5x minus 62. So we're going to start by undoing this subtract 62, and the way we undo a subtract 62 is to add 62. So on both sides we're going to add 62. So that's going to look like plus 62 on this side of the equation and plus 62 on this side of the equation. Now you want to make sure you add up, you keep your like terms together, so you would put this 62 underneath the opposite of that. That goes away. You're going to copy down your 8.5 x, and 74 plus 62, we're just going to add those up. So let's see, 74 plus 62 equals 136, 136. So now our equation reads 136 equals 8.5x. This is 8.5 multiplied by x. The opposite of multiplication is division. So our next step is going to be divide by 8.5 on both sides. So on both sides of our equation, we should have a divide 8.5 and divide 8.5. Okay? On this side, that cancels out to 1x, and then we get left with 136 divided by 8.5. 136 divide 8, I'm going to move this up, 0.5, and we get 16 as our answer. Okay? And it's okay that it's not x equals. The x is on the right side, that's okay. We can check that out. We can check by doing 74 is on one side of the equation and the other side of the equation 8.5 multiplied by 16. We just replace that x with a 16 in parentheses, minus 62, and that's our answer. So our answer is 74. We're good. All right, let's take a look at our next problems. We notice here on on the back of the worksheet we have inequalities. So the same with the equal sign, we want to keep it organized by putting a line through the inequality. And we're going to do the same steps where we undo what's on the same side of the equation, but furthest away. So we're going to undo this positive 34 by subtracting 34 on both sides. Subtract 34, subtract 34. Okay. That goes away. We copy down our 12x. And then we have 76 take away 34. Well, 6 take away 4 is 2, and 7 take away 3 is 4. So that was our first step. We did subtract 34 from both sides. That's what we did. And our symbol, our inequality symbol, does not change because our symbol only changes when we multiply. So when you multiply or divide by a negative. Okay, that's the only time it flips and changes around, and we did not do that for this problem. So just kind of keep that there as a reminder. So we subtracted 34, and we got 12x less than 42. So the next step is we're just going to take both sides. This is 12 times x, so we're going to divide by 12, divide by 12. All right, and we have 12. Let's do the math. Okay, move this. How do I move this? How do I get this guy to move? All right, so I would do 42 divided by 12. So 42 divided 12, and I get 3.5. So I get x is less than 3.5. Okay, so let's make sure we write down our steps, what we did. So we divide by 12. Okay, and let's check our answer. So we should have, if we do 34 plus 12 times any number that's less than 3.5, so let's say 3.499, right? It should be less than 76, and that's just less than 76. Any number is going to be, so maybe 3 is less than 3.5, so we'll try that too. If we tried a number that was larger than 3.5, like 4, we should get something over 76, and we do. So we have a general idea that that is the correct answer. All right, let's take a look at our next one. So we undo the same thing. The same thing, we want to look at only the side of the equation and look what's furthest away from the x, which is that 34. So our first step here, we have a positive 34. So our first step is actually the same. So we subtract 34. So that looks like on both sides of the equation, subtract 34 and subtract 34. Okay, that goes away, adds to 0. This copies down to negative 12x. And then we have 76 minus 34, which would be 42. So you can see our steps are more or less the same here. And then our next step we're going to do is we're going to divide by negative 12. Now ding, 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 pay attention, right? Because when you divide by a negative, the inequality symbol is going to flip. So let's pay attention to what we do next. So when we divide by negative 12, let's pick a nice fabulous color. This inequality symbol is going to change direction. I like that looks. Okay, it's going to change direction, so that's going to change to this, the other way. So these are going to cross out. We're left with just one x, and this is 42 divided by negative 12. 42 divided by negative 12. Okay, and we get negative 3.5. Okay, so what this means is this actually means, when we interpret this, this means negative 3.5 is less than x, or x is greater than negative 3.5. So you have to think about, if we had a number line, here's our number line, and on our number line we have a 3.5, a negative 3.5. What numbers, well, greater than, really should say, or equal to, x, and then this should say greater than or equal negative 3.5. Okay, so on our number line might look like, a dot, like a filled in circle, a negative 3.5, and we want to be this way, right? All x's are less, this is all less than any x value we'd have, and x is always greater. So what numbers would that be? That would be like 0, that would be like positive 3.5, okay? So if we plug those numbers into our calculator, this is what we should get. So if we do 34, take away 12, times 3.5, that should be, so we end up with what? We end up with a negative 8, and is that less than 76? 76 greater than or equal to negative 8. Yeah, that's true. That's cool. Okay, let's try another number. Let's say we try 0. Okay. Delete 0. Let's say we try 0. Is that, well, let's check out 76. Is 76 greater than or equal to, and what do we get here? 34? Yes, ma'am. Okay, it is greater than 34. And let's just try one more. Let's say we tried 3.5. Let's say we try 3.5. 3.5. It's negative 8. No, I don't want to try 3.5. I'm doing the same stuff again. 0. Delete. We try 0. We get 34. Is 76 greater than 34? It is. It is. We did great. We did well. Oh, we already tried 0. Oh, we want to try negative 3.5. Yeah. So we tried this value, and we're going to try this value. Okay, so negative 3.5, negative 3.5. We plug that in. We end up with 76. Is 76 greater than or equal to 76? It is, because it's equal to 76. Okay, so that's how we can check that this is our correct solution. All right, our last problem. Oh, and our last thing we probably should have written down. Let's type it in. Let's make it look nice. Let's pick a color. Pick a color. So we have to flip the inequality. Flip inequality. Okay. And then for our last problem, okay, it's just an addition problem. The only thing is maybe it's a little more complicated because the numbers are a little larger, but it's not really any more difficult than anything we've done before. So first thing we want to do is undo just this 2,718. So to undo that, we're going to subtract 2718 from both sides. So that looks like subtract 2718 and subtract 2718. Okay? And we just subtract them. So we subtract them out and we get 33141, subtract 27718, and we get 423. So 423 is equal to 42x, or 42 multiplied by x. The opposite of multiply is divide. So we're going to divide by 42 on both sides. So we can write that in, divide 42 on both sides. So when we do that, we divide by 42. 42 over 42 divides to 1x. Now we just have an equal sign, so that just copies over. It's actually, well, we don't have to think about flipping the inequality or anything like that. And we would just divide. So we do 423 divide 42. Boom. Or 423 divide 42. And we get 10.07? 071, we're just going to say 07, okay? And that's our answer. How can we check to see if that's right? So we can go to our calculator, and we know we should get 3,141 when we replace this x with that number right there. So you can get 2718 plus 42. Now, if you just go up to that and then hit enter, the whole thing comes back up. Isn't that neat? How that happens, you just have to hit the up key and then hit enter and it pops back up. So replace that with the x, and we should get 3,142. So we know that's the right answer. Do you guys see that? All right. So those are the steps you take when solving equations or inequalities.